Tonight we welcome Tony van Lith. Tony farms with his family in Woodstock, Ontario, where they milk 290 cows on Lely robots. He strives to breed balanced cattle that work well in a freestyle environment, but he also focuses on selecting a few elite cattle under his Valiant Dairy Genetics brand to focus on embryo transfers. Great cow families, high PTAT conformation, red RC, polled A2A2, a high index heifer, form the base of Valiant Dairy Genetics. His goals include breeding AI bulls and exporting embryos and all around the globe. Due to the diversity in genetics, Tony has exported embryos to countries such as Sweden, Japan, Northern Ireland, Germany, Holland, New Zealand, England, just to name a few. We are pleased to have Tony speak to us about his unique approach to diversifying his farm operation.
All right.
So Tony, we'll turn it right over to you.
Okay, good evening, guys, and thank you very much for having me. It's quite an honor to be here tonight, I guess. A little different format, I think, than you guys usually would hold a meeting, but I think this has been going well, this online thing. So I guess I will try to turn it over to my PowerPoint. Let me see, share screen. Okay. Slideshow. Okay, there we go. So it's how to start your genetic business, and then I will explain a few things, I guess, how I got started. So my everyday responsibilities include handling the matings, genetics for both my brother's farm and our home farm. I do individual matings for both heifers and cows with a full herd walkthrough several times a year to make the best crosses. So I guess I pick bulls a couple times a year, and then after each proof round, I walk through the herds and just kind of pick what cows could be improved upon. I pick usually 3 conformational traits to fix, and that's how I pick a first and then a second choice. Cows that I find would need more than 3 things to be an ideal cow usually would end up with beef semen, just because I think there are better animals to start working with. I also pick recips and cows to be bred, as well as doing all the purchasing of the semen for both farms. We focus on functional cows, mostly proven bulls, keeping an eye on health traits, stature, strength, combined fat and protein, CFP, calving ease, and we try to keep functional type in mind. I usually feed the calves and heifers and help with all necessary field work and other farm chores on a daily basis. So how I got started with the whole genetics or love for it, I guess. I started buying, selling old semen. Guys usually buy, 10 or 20 doses of a bull. They'll use 5 or 6 or what have you, and then they kind of end up leaving the rest of it behind, and they don't use it up. So then in a few years' time, you end up with quite the collection, as some of you might know. So I try to sell or buy and sell unique or hard to find bulls. And then I bought and sold embryos, I guess, with the same tactics. People also tend to flush more cows than they, have recips for, as you guys learned earlier, how that goes with the embryo transfer technology. Some guys get a little bit carried away flushing cows, so they might end up with, 100 embryos in inventory, and maybe they only milk 30 or 40 cows, so what the heck are you going to do with all of them? So then Tony comes along, and I make an offer on, the whole tank or the whole lot, and I try to get a good deal on them, of course. And then basically I sold them to all my high school and college friends growing up. So it kind of gave me a little bit of money to start this passion of mine. So then, yeah, the remaining inventory of a bull called Pit Bull Red Carrier. He was really popular in Europe. The bull, he passed away quite young. His semen was bringing a pile of money in Europe, so I decided, since they didn't really know him here that much, I gave, at the time it was Generations, I guess I gave them an offer for everything they had left. And they took my offer, and I kind of distributed it and sold it for a fair bit more than what I paid. And all of that helped me with marketing and kind of got me going on all that, kind of learning as we go, just the 4-H motto. So yeah, genetics definitely got sparked in 4-H. I had a 4-H calf one year, and I looked up her pedigree, and I really liked the calf, and went back to a cow by the name of Glen Ridge Citation Roxy, and I had no idea who that was, and she's the queen of the breed, as most of some of your listeners might know, and she was a 97-point cow, and a lot of good bulls today go back to the cow family, including King Doc and Denver, and there are several bulls, of course, that are still going from that family. So here are some of the earlier ads I did. I took kind of a media class, I guess, in high school. So I learned a little bit how to cut stuff out. I think the teacher was a little bit surprised with some of the work I was putting out, as you can see. Probably not what most of the kids were doing. So that's how I was marketing my pit bull. Which, looking back, this is probably not a piece I'd be proud of today, but for me back then, it was quite interesting. And the picture on the right, actually, I took that background picture. It's in our pasture. It's actually Woodstock in the background. And I cut all 3 of those cows out, probably spent a week and a half getting it all put together. And just, yeah, it was rocky as we started, but you learn more. And if you have any questions on Photoshop or stuff like that and you don't know how to do it, go on YouTube and type in, hey, how do I do this? And just watch a 5-minute video, and most of the time you can figure out how to do something. And it's just, I'm not much of a classroom learner, I guess, but when it comes to stuff I'm really passionate and interested in, I can teach myself, and it's not hard to focus at all. So getting started, I built up capital selling semen and embryos, and then I finally purchased a cow called Vusal Overtime Guinea, and she's actually from the same family as Morand. Funny story, I actually bought that cow in biology class. The online sale was going on, and I actually told the teacher I had to go to the washroom, quote unquote, quick, just to get my bid in. So I ended up buying her in class, in biology class, and of course I was quite nervous to buy my first animal. The teacher, I probably didn't learn anything that class, to say the least. I was probably quite wound up for the next couple hours, so that was an interesting purchase. And actually today I got results back on a granddaughter of hers, which she came back over 3,300 LPI and nearly 2,650 TPI, which are decent numbers to work off, especially if she's a red carrier. She lost the pole gene, which is too bad, but I'm hoping she's red carrier, which would put her in as the #2 red carrier Rubicon in Canada anyways. So that'll be interesting to work on. Not everything goes as planned. Both Guinea and then a cow I bought named Candy Crush. I bought her with 2 partners, one guy in Australia and Justin Belsize from Riverdown. We bought her at a sale at Genosource around World Dairy Expo. It would have been, I think, 2017. We paid a lot of money for her. She was a #3 type heifer in the world at the time, and she didn't actually flush for us at all. So we flushed her 3 times, ended up with 0 pregnancies. We did some IVF work on her, and we did have decent luck with that, but I think as Brianne mentioned in the earlier presentation, IVF work is not very cheap. So 3 rounds of that and everything else and trucking and who knows what, we're in the hole quite a bit on her. So I learned to basically try to purchase animals that are maybe not as high, but a little better value, because we got a lot of money tied up in her. And you never know when an animal isn't gonna work for you, basically. It's nice when they make 20 embryos of flush, but that's not a guarantee. So when they don't, be prepared for that strikeout. And when you buy them, know that that is a possibility. And even if that were to happen, be happy with your decision. Otherwise, you're going to get very disappointed and stressed out. So, alrighty. So, oh, I guess here earlier. I purchased the first choice Solomon or Avalanche from Goldhaven with two friends of mine, Matt Forstall and Ethan McMillan. This resulted in the #2 PTAT Solomon worldwide and the #1 confirmation Solomon. She later sold to Fair and Blonde at the Sale Stars, and yeah, I guess the rest is history. So there is Ellen on the right there. She ended up going 86 as a 2-year-old. She was really balanced heifer, beautiful long heifer. Her mother was 88 points. So yeah, that was another ad I did, starting to improve as we go, I guess you can see. So what I look for when buying animals, pedigree is very important. A2 milk is starting to become, I guess, whether it's a niche or not, maybe it's going to be a mainstream thing, maybe not. Either way, it's not a bad idea to look at it. And then red carrier or red and pulled and all these things, try to set yourself apart from the mainstream AI industries. If I were to just chase LPI or just chase GTPI, the competition is far higher. The success rate's also lower, I would say, for, you know, strikes or like, yeah, I mean, I guess getting animals into AI or selling, it'll be a lot harder to compete with people that milk, you know, thousands of cows, and there's also thousands of people doing it. So I try to buy animals that perform genomically as well as have good pedigrees. So for high type stuff, I try to have a big name cow close up, especially trying to buy animals, I guess, that don't necessarily, the family's maybe not known for their genomics, but if you can find one in the family that does have genomics, that sets you apart from, you know, maybe the 10 sisters that also exist. But if you buy the one that's got the most interesting genomics, or maybe is the highest type animal in the family, you can definitely set yourself apart for customers overseas and as well as domestic. So yeah, so aim to buy something unique. Make sure you stand out from your competitors. So I just said that. So why should they come to you? That's a good question to ask yourself. I mean, if everybody in your county has a sister to the heifer you bought, it's probably not going to be likely that she's going to be all that marketable because you have a lot of competition. So try to buy animals that are from families that are not flooded, so to say, and you will have better luck. So for marketing, do your homework when it comes to marketing. So for example, the only heifer in the breed with XYZ traits. You can do sorts like that before you buy an animal. I know I like to do that for sure. People sometimes give me a hard time about it, but I'll do like a sort, you know, this is the only heifer in the breed that's, you know, 3 points of type and 1,500 of milk and low pins or something. Try to pick 3 traits. Don't get too carried away. Don't go for 10 traits or something like that, because then people kind of, I guess you lose, I guess, what do you call it? Yeah, I guess it just doesn't sound right. So
where do you go online, Tony, to do those sorts when you talk about doing your homework on a heifer? How do you go about doing that? Like if you have an animal in mind you're thinking about buying, and you go, I mean, obviously you don't just Google them. So what websites do you go to, and how do you do that?
Yeah. So the Canadian Dairy Network, that's a good question. Canadian Dairy Network is a great spot to start. Even starting with, you know, you find a cow on the Canadian Dairy Network, you look at her progeny and you try to find animals going down the line in that way. Rather than trying to find them on the big list, it might be easier to start at the cow, start with the pedigree and then go and see, hey, are any of these genomic tested? How do they rank? And then it takes a lot of time. I mean, a lot of my spare time is spent, you know, at night kind of creeping around, trying to find stuff. And oftentimes I'll find heifers privately. They might not be in sales. And then I'll kind of message the guy and say, hey, what do you need for this heifer? And that way I end up with something a little different than most usually, but it definitely takes work. Another system I use is ST Genetics page. You can search females on that as well, and it lets you put in traits as well, like milk limits or a milk minimum, or even if you want to find animals that are lower for stature, or you want to find animals that are higher DPR, try to put in combinations of traits that set them apart from the crowd, and then go look, hey, which heifer meets this criteria, or what is the breed, what does it need. I oftentimes try to find heifers that I wish were bulls. So if I find a heifer that I think would make a really cool bull, if it was a bull, I find that those are the ones that are going to make the next generation. So that's just a pointer on my end. So try to test them in several different countries. I hope that answered your question, Brianne. Yep. Okay, perfect. Try to test them in several different countries if you can. You can get maximum salability of your embryos that way. I mean, if she is the #1 PLI heifer, or the #1 ISU, or #1 RZG heifer, it's worth a shot to try testing them in different countries, because people in England or people in Germany are going to want embryos from your heifers. It's maybe not the easiest way to do, and it's probably a good idea to look at, is the sire of my calf even high in that country? It's probably unlikely that if the sire is low and the sire stack doesn't really fit for their system, it's probably unlikely that she's going to test high. So probably don't bother if it doesn't work like that. And again, try to stand out. Try to envision where the breed should go in each category of the industry. Nobody wants extremely tall cows, even in the type category. Somatic cell count, pins, calving ease, all traits I think everybody would like to see. So when I'm buying a type female, even, I try to keep everything in check and not just go for that heifer that's over 4 points a type in the US or 20 for confirmation in Canada. I think nowadays especially, we need more balance in our bulls, and we need more balance in our heifers. And #1, this isn't going to cut it if she's got a terrible rump angle or extremely low milk production traits, and etc. So yeah, maybe striving for #1 shouldn't be your goal. Balanced approach may make you better cattle. Possibly cattle your neighbors and customers overseas will appreciate more. So also I should add, great partners are a huge asset in being successful, spreading risk and costs as well. Some of these heifers, like I said before, that one that we tied up a pile of money, and I'm pretty glad that that was a 3-way partnership and not me personally, because I would be broke right now. We were able to split it with the 3 of us, and yeah, it wasn't ideal, but it happens. And then, if you can kind of be there for each other in the highs and the lows, it spreads your risk. I guess it's the same as investing. Usually you don't invest all your money in one firm, or it's try to spread your risk, but don't get carried away with too many partners, in my opinion, though. I talked to Brianne about this earlier. I think personally I like to have just 1 partner if possible. 2 would be probably pushing it, just because picking bulls or decisions in the partnership become more difficult as you add people. And I think if you can't afford her with 2 or 3 people, it's probably too risky of an animal to buy anyways. So yeah, follow your gut instinct. If you think a heifer or cow has the potential to earn you a lot of money and you can afford her, then go for it. I mean, do all the research before, for sure. Make sure that this is a very special animal before you go spending a pile of money. Make sure that there isn't somebody that, or there aren't like 15 full sisters, and, most of them are better than yours. So yeah, flush history, classification scores. If the dam is fresh but not scored yet, try to get a picture on the dam, or try to get a third-party person to look at the dam and make sure, hey, this cow will go very good in the future, or she looks good at least. It's an important part to marketing, is having the full pedigree and having everything there, especially in the type industry. I mean, some of these higher numbered animals, I think not everybody seems to care as much about it, but I think in the type world, you have to have it. And also, I'd like to say, stick to your word. I mean, this industry is very small. Rumors move fast. If you say to somebody, hey, I'm going to buy this heifer, or I'll buy her, or, even if you're at an auction and you did buy her and you don't pay for her, stuff like that. If you can't afford her, don't buy her. It's pretty simple. And you know what? Once you kind of screw somebody in this industry, the word goes around really, really fast. and then your reputation is kind of done, and good luck selling anything in the future, or it's going to take a couple years to recoup from that anyways. Use places like Facebook, go to big shows, Madison, like obviously World Area Expo, the Royal Winter Fair. They're all great places to meet international clients for just friends. Try to make connections. Don't make it all about selling. Just go meet people. It's a blast. It's my favorite thing about this industry is the amount of people I've met. All, for the most part, great people. And that's what it's all about to me. And also, the Royal Winter Fair, it's great. I personally haven't exhibited cattle at either show, but I try to go every year to both, and I love it. Go sit in the stands, go, even if people are going from around the world and somebody you want to meet, set it up beforehand and say, hey, like, let's meet up like Thursday afternoon at 2:30 here or there. What's your phone number? Let's shoot each other a text, give me a call, let's meet up. I've done that several times, and it's incredible the amount of people you actually get to meet in person that you've met online before. And it's, you never know when connections are going to come in handy. Connections in life, don't ever take that for granted. It's huge. I love it. So use emojis, capital letters, show results, family trademark, etc. to push your animals. Make others believe in what you stand for and have to offer, have to sell. I mean, it's one thing to believe in it yourself, but if you can get somebody else to believe in it as well, make sure for sure though that when you purchase an animal that you do really believe in it, because personally I can't sell something I don't believe in. So for me to go and BS online about how great this heifer is, if I don't think she is, it's not going to work. I can't make that sound believable. I try to be a straight shooter in that sense. So if I'm raving about an animal online, I must believe in it, whether that's wrong or right. Who knows? But anyways, it definitely helps to convince the sale of embryos and livestock. So here's an ad I guess I did. So that's Milk Source Defiant Snap on the bottom left corner. As you can see, I put the little Snapchat emoji, or the logo right by the snap there. It's just one thing to grab people's attention. Obviously, it has nothing to do with Snapchat, but it's just one of those things that sticks in people's minds. So yeah, she's actually a sister to Shakira, who just went XL 95 there, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and Defiant Snap, she calved in actually, and she went 87-2-year-old max score as well. So we were really, really excited about her. She looks fantastic. She's pictured there in the top right. It's time to go see her sometime and take some nice lawn photos. She hopefully get a little cleaner. And when you look at resemblance there, when we bought her, we already really liked Shakira, but she was not intermediate champion at Madison yet. She was, first at the Royal, and we really loved the cow. We thought she had a lot of potential for the future. So we purchased her in one of Milk Source's sales, and one of the main highlights for me was the fact that, when you put the two beside each other, how much do they look alike? It's just absolutely insane. And the fact that Snap calved in with udder, same udder shape and everything else as Shakira, it's just a marketer's dream, in my opinion. And I think the cow has a really bright future ahead of her. We have a lineup of people that want embryos from her. It's not hard to market a cow like this, especially when it comes down to, her maxing out, her looking just like her. Everything's just falling right into place. And we have a beautiful Doorman calf that I know Brianne wants to buy. She's been bugging me for a while. Late December, Doorman off her. The calf came back red carrier. And she's A2 as well, and we already have lots of interest on her as well. So it's pretty cool. Now her sister's XL 95. Her mother actually went 95 as well. It says 94 here in the ad, but that's since been updated. So I mean, a 95-point sister, 95-point dam, 96-point second dam, 95-point third dam. It's quite a pedigree. So we are very lucky with how everything kind of fell into place. It's sometimes you got to gamble a little bit ahead of time and hope things happen. I mean, we had no idea Shakira would be intermediate champion, but we had hopes, of course. We thought, if we were going to pick a cow for next year, that was the one. So, our guesses, I guess, were right. So we're pretty happy with her. So, and then here's another one. So our favorite lottery, she's a King Doc out of Lotto's Lizette. The 94-point Atwood out of Winter Big Golden Lotto, who was grand at the Royal Winter Fair in 2010. Lizette was all Canadian. She was reserve All-American. She kind of did it all as well. Lottery had really nice genomic numbers as well. King Doc came with a great proof. Everything kind of fell into place for her as well. And we exported 30 embryos from her as a heifer, which was absolutely crazy. The heifer gave us 21 sexed embryos on her first flush ever. And she was just 12 months old. So that's something. It's a dream. It's a little different than Candy Crush mentioned earlier. So you have your highs and your lows, and usually the Lydia family is really good at flushing. It's something to keep in mind for when you're buying. And I guess here, just the lottery, you can see here the money bags in the top corner. It's cheesy, but it's just something, it's like winning the lotto. It's kind of, you put our contact information on a little ticket here, the lottery ticket. It's whatever you can to kind of grab people's attention. Usually when I make ads, I don't look at other people's. I 100% go off my own ideas of what I have in my head. I get a picture in my head. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. And I kind of start going at it and change my ideas as we kind of go. It's a little bit of creativity, and I love doing it. So it's come a long way, I guess. So. And then, this is a Brandt-View Doc Miami. It's one of my more recent purchases. We're really excited about her as well. So she's a King Doc from an 88.2-year-old doorman out of Cookview Golden Monique, XL96. Monique sold for $490,000. She's, an incredible cow, and we're really excited to work with her. She's got great numbers as well. She's 3.15 PTAT. She's nice, positive on milk. She's low pins in the U.S. She's a -1 DPR, which is actually really good for a type heifer, which, might not sound that good, but, when there's heifers and bulls out there that have the high type numbers that are -5 DPR, -1 is quite a little more respectable. So we actually, we sold embryos from her to Germany and New Zealand. And we got really lucky. We had 4 B embryos by Pete Tropic. He's a hotline from Rubicon. And we had 4 B embryos, and all 4 of them caught. So we got really lucky there. Then we flushed it to Delta Lambda sexed. And she had 2 Bs, and both Bs caught again. So we have 6 pregnancies, all from B embryos. So we got really lucky with everything going on. And now we're going to try and we're going to flush it at Alley-oop.
As I said.
What's that? Sorry, Brianne? I can't hear you.
I told the kids earlier, all the bee embryos that you implant, they always catch, and they're always heifers. So
yeah, well, I wouldn't say always, but sex semen definitely should help as well. I mean, let's hope so, anyways. And if she had a bull, I wouldn't be letting. I mean, she's got her numbers, and I think she can make a bull. It's just sexed embryos are far easier to sell. So actually, we're doing her to conventional semen here, flushing her to alley-oop at the end of the week. So it's we'll see what happens, and we're gonna try and put most of those in fresh. I've had great luck with fresh embryos. And then here for Miami, I guess I'll just explain a little bit. Oh, sorry.
There was a question. Sorry, Tony, to interrupt you there. There was a question just came in, said, who does your ads? And so I just want to clarify for everybody. These are all done by Tony himself. Okay, so that's the other really neat part about this. Every ad that Tony has shown you, he did himself, and he is self-taught. Okay, so that maybe didn't come through clear enough earlier before, but the one you're staring at on the screen right now and all of the ones previous are all done by him. Okay,
So I think, Brianne, the question is actually, what does he use to make the ads? So I think they're just wondering, Tony, about the software you're using.
Okay. So I use Photoshop, I guess, to make these ads, and I start by cutting out the cows. First, I try to find pictures I really like of the cow. So this is Cookview Golden Monique pictured here on the main ad, I guess. So I cut out her pictures, and then I go and I find backgrounds, and I kind of meshed 2 different backgrounds. Oops, sorry. Different backgrounds of Miami together, which came out really cool with the water and everything. And on the bottom there, I kind of faded in the footing so it looks like she's walking on water. And then another thing is the top of the two pictures. I don't know if I can do this without going here. So you see this tail here that I'm highlighting. It's actually shared with both cows, which I don't think many people would catch, but it's kind of interesting, an interesting effect anyways, to share the tail with a back-to-back photo like that. And yeah, anyway, it's a neat touch. And then to have the head pop out in front of lettering, I like that as well. It gives the picture some pop. And then the same with the head on the cow here. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to make these ads, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be happy. And maybe if I did let somebody else do it, I wouldn't be. That doesn't mean that other people are going to do a bad job at all. I would never say that. It's just I'm very picky, and I guess my own taste. I really like to put that forward. So and then actually, yeah, here on the other side, that's Miami herself. It's a King Doc heifer. Patty Jones took that beautiful picture. It's one thing I would also suggest is to try and get nice professional pictures, or beautiful lawn shots of your heifers. And it's a big help in selling and marketing, just for people as well when they have calves, even in other countries, and they put them in sales. It helps them, they got something professional to put in a catalog. And yeah, I'm really happy with how that picture came out. So she's a beautiful heifer, and we look forward to what we can do with her. So this is another heifer I bought in partnership. So we changed her name. Her name was Pine Tree 7429 Disc 8591 ET. So I should have added earlier, Miami's name was actually, what the heck, Danielle. And then Lottery's name was Leighton actually before. And to me, those weren't real marketable names. I wanted something to give a little bit of a push for ads and stuff like that. So I usually, if I don't like the name, I end up changing them, which most people maybe don't know you can do. But you can do it up to a years of age. And actually, I like changing her name to Miami, the previous one, because it was an M family with Monique in there. And then this disc jockey heifer, she's also an E family. So that's why I changed her name to Pine Tree DJ Empire, which should also make for some interesting ads in the future. Haven't got that far yet, but we'll see what happens. So she came back. We didn't actually have her Canadian numbers when we bought her. But she came back 3590 GLPI, which is really good, with a +17 for memory systems. And she's one of two heifers in the world that are 3500 LPI or more, and +17 memory system or more. And then in the US system, she's the only heifer in the world that's 2.5 DPR and 3.3 for udder composite, which is another thing. And another thing to watch here is her stature. She's really low stature, which is one thing I think in the type side of things, people are trying to, get away from the extremely tall animals. So this heifer, I'm sure if I did a sort with her on stature and type, she would also come up quite interesting. I just gave a couple examples. I haven't actually posted her on Facebook even. So you guys are the first ones to see her. So she is the only heifer in the world, like I said, with 2.5 DPR, 3.3 for udder composite. One of the two heifers in the world is 3.3 udder composite and 2700 TPI. So we just had a rollback in the US. So this heifer would have been well over 4 points for udder composite pre-rollback, and she would have been over 3 for type as well. But everybody got hit the same, so it is what it is. So and like I said earlier, try to stick to sort of round numbers anyways. I mean, if you're gonna say she's the only heifer in the world, don't say she's the only heifer in the world over 3.13 for udders, or 2.105 DPR or whatever. You kind of just doesn't look very smart. And then, like, I actually think one of the only two heifers in the world, 3.3 udder composite, 2700 TPI. I actually looked it up, and I'm pretty sure I'm able to still claim the 3.3 udder composite with 2400 TPI. So yeah, she's a unique heifer. So, but try to stick to numbers that make sense for what you're doing. So yeah, this is I guess the last heifer I'll mention here. So like I mentioned before, trying to highlight or do caps lock and emojis and stuff like that. Put a little Canadian flag if you're talking about Canada, or put a little top symbol. She's the #1 homozygous polled and red carry heifer worldwide, and that's for both systems. So this ad was done before her new number, so she went up both in TPI and LPI last proof round. So she's #1 PP RC GTPI at 2668. She's #1 PP RC GLPI at 3396. And we actually have her contracted for 25 embryos for the end of the year and early next year, which is really exciting. And we had some interest actually from her from France as well, because she did okay on their index. So we'll see what happens. We flushed her for the first time this past Saturday, and she had 10 #1 embryos by Helix. So we'll put those in, and yeah, we'll see if we can sell a few of the next ones, obviously. So the 25 embryo contract, hopefully she can keep up the flushing the way she has, and we'll be feeling pretty good. So maybe I'll have some money to buy a few more heifers along next year. So thanks for listening. I guess I was just going to mention another thing to get really good connections. I went on the Young Leaders, Holstein Canada Young Leaders Convention in Quebec a few years ago. It's a great time. I would suggest that to anybody. Sign up for it. Try to go to that. It's a great place to meet a lot of people. And yeah, like I said before, it's all about connections in the industry. It's not about the money you make selling the embryos. It's about, you know, meeting friends. And for me, it's really interesting. I went to New Zealand here this last winter, and met some of the people that I, you know, met online, and great people. And it's really cool to have that connection, which otherwise I would have never ever had. And then I would say try to take every opportunity. I mean, if somebody offers you a job to take some pictures at a county fair or something like that, take it. I've done that as well for a few years, you know, and people, you know, they say, oh, you take such good pictures and stuff like that. And it's really rewarding for people to kind of start to recognize you in that sense, get your name out there. Not everything is a paid opportunity, just, you know, do it. I mean, for the last 2 years at the Sale Stars, I did some of the marketing online. If you go back and look at all the emojis going on and stuff like that, you might notice that a lot of the videos and pictures taken of that stuff. I love it. It's something you learn from all that, everything you do. For the Sale Stars there, I downloaded an app to, you know, take videos and mesh it all together with music in the backgrounds and slide overs and what have you. And it's just something that you know, nobody can take that away from you in the future when you want to market your own cattle. It's a great learning experience. One other thing, I guess I just wrote on a piece of paper here because my slideshow was already done. I was thinking of during chores tonight. Try to avoid clone blood, I guess, in cattle. For marketing, it really hurts. I mean, if it's a really good bull, it's hard not to use, of course. But avalanche blood, I know for Japan markets and a lot of those, you know, European or, you know, Switzerland especially, I know they really frown upon it. I think as the clone blood gets farther in, it's okay to use them for them, but it really limits your marketing for Japan at least. And yeah, when taking pictures, try to look for cool backgrounds. You know, beautiful green colors or flowers, or, you know, a tree that's flowering, stuff like that. It really catches your eye as well. It's not all about the cow. You know, you can put your cow in front of the dirty barn shed, or, you know, what have you. It's not going to look very good. Try for, you know, really beautiful backgrounds and impressive. Take lots of pictures. Pick the one that you like the best, and go from there. So, any questions?
So Tony, we do have a few questions that have come in on the chat box for you. So maybe I'll start with the last one. It's, how do embryo contracts work?
So I guess the term contract's pretty loose usually. A lot of times, I guess, like on Facebook, people will message me and they'll say, hey, what do you want for 5 embryos from her by this cross? And I would consider that a contract personally. It's nothing in writing for those ones, but it's just kind of a trust thing. And if it's somebody that you know and you know has bought embryos from friends of yours, or you know, is a reliable person that you can trust, that I would still consider contract. You can get a signed contract from Japan. This embryo deal with the 25 embryos for Lester Muffin, that was, you know, confirmed in email, and, you know, it sits there just in case something goes wrong, like it is on paper. But then again, I mean, it's, yeah, you never know how good a contract is until you just hope people follow their word. So.
Okay. Another question, what does CFP mean?
So
that early.
Yeah, so I mentioned it earlier. That means combined fat and protein. So it's just I guess, a quick way of saying that. Um, Basically, it's the fat kilograms and protein kilograms blended together, and then say you want that to always be over 100 pounds or 100 kgs or something like that. So.
Also, there was a question earlier. You talked on one of your first slides about going around and buying up some of the old semen, and
Yeah.
so somebody was wondering how you define old. Like, what sort of bulls were you talking about? How historical?
So this is gone from files of Citation R and Agro Acres Unique or Starbucks, Sky Chief. Even Goldwyn, he's not old, but I definitely still have some of that sitting around. And if somebody's looking for old stuff, who knows? Maybe I have something for you. It ranges. The glass ampules or vials, as they call them, the amps. I still have some of those sitting around for sure. And I guess another cool story as a side note, I had traded somebody some semen for old embryos, and they turned out to be embryos from Hanover Hill. I think Brianne would know what I'm talking about on Facebook. I had a big, presentation video, and it was all kind of nostalgic, I guess. And so I found there's 4 slow thaw embryos. So Brianne mentioned earlier normal embryo transfer. But back in the day, slow thaw, it meant, you'd have to spend 45 minutes to an hour to actually unthaw an embryo. And due to local, actually technology, Alex McIntosh, our flush guy, he was one of the ones that helped develop that so that you can thaw embryos the quick way, basically as if it was semen. So slow thaw was a really, really old process, and these embryos were made using that technology. And we put 4 embryos in, and Alex was kind of worried because he had no instructions with them. He said there's different freezing methods for every embryo back then. So he was like, well, we're just going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. And we put in 4, and I had 2 pregnancies and 2 heifer calves. So I was fairly lucky with that deal. The embryos didn't necessarily cost me a lot, but we had no idea if they were alive or dead, or, they were 25 years old. So you have no idea really. And you could by alive or dead, I mean, embryos will always stay alive if they are stored in liquid nitrogen. Just the problem is, everybody lifts up the canister, and, you don't know, maybe the canister was held up, 30 seconds too long, and these embryos unthawed and died. It's possible. So we didn't know what we were getting into. So we put in the 4 embryos, 2 pregnancies, 2 heifers. So we had 2 Lindy's, Hanover Hill, Strike of Lucky Barb. So that's, again, my naming coming into place there. And then Hanover Hill, Barb's Last Legacy. So I had to get pretty creative with the lettering because we were pretty close to the number count for Holstein Canada. But again, really cool. The dam was an 86 2-year-old Valiant. Then a 92-point Telstar, and then Pride Lucky Barb XL94, and then John's Lucky Barb XL97. And the second dam is full sister to the bull Triple Threat, which a lot of the older generation will remember as one of the bulls that made some of the best brood cows. Sorry, Brianne. Even I remember it, so I'm calling myself old. Don't give me too much of a hard time. So anyways, it's one of the cornerstone families of the breed, I guess. And it was really cool to have a Hanover Hill calf born in 2019, or 2 of them really. And they were September calves, and I ended up selling one in an online sale, the Triple Hill sale. And somebody in Pennsylvania, I think it was a syndicate of a few breeders, bought her, and I'd imagine they're going to try and make some bulls off her, which will be really interesting to see. And I still have the full sister, who I really like as well. And the interesting part with these old embryos was, friend of mine had a catalog from the old Hanover Hill days, and I had never seen a picture of the mother, and I actually found the mother of these calves in the catalog just skimming through, which was really cool. So I took a picture of that and I put it into my little video, and so I have a picture of her 4 closest dams, which is pretty unique for stuff made 25 years ago. So sorry for the little rant there at the end. Any other questions?
That's super interesting. I'm glad you shared that with us. So another question for you, and this one's a little bit personal, but you mentioned buying your first cow in biology class. So You look fairly young. So how long have you been at this?
So I'm 23 years old. I guess I've been at it since I was probably like 16. I think a pit bull semen I probably bought when I was around 16, 17 years old. Marketing's always been kind of my thing. I love selling stuff, but again, like I said, it's only stuff that I believe in. I can't sell crap. Pit bull's bull. I love his numbers, love the bull, so it's something I could sell because I liked him. So and then I guess over the years, I also imported some semen later on by myself from a big AI unit in California, and I sold that as well. Realized sales aren't really for me because I felt bad about leaving the farm, getting off the farm. So instead, I kind of switched gears to the embryo market more because I enjoy purchasing these heifers as well and getting some calves on the ground and playing in that AI bull market more than anything, rather than actually selling the semen, going door to door. I kind of realized that wasn't really my thing. Although I should add, maybe at the end of the year here, we might start collecting a bull called Jacob's Showtime. He's a red carrier, son of Shakira, the 95-point cow. And he came back 2,500 TPI and 2.6 PTAT and like 70 pounds of fat or something. So he's an interesting bull. So I think we might collect him and sell him through a third party or something. Go to the States. I have wild ideas, and we kind of go take it day by day. It's, to me, I don't plan these things out. A lot of people say, hey, you got to have goals, like 5-year goals, whatever. Sure, but you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes opportunities arise and you just got to grab them. This bull came up for sale and I thought he was really interesting, and no AI even had scooped him up. So here we are. Now I own a son of, the newest 95-point cow in the breed. And I think everybody loves the cow, so it should be fairly easy to sell semen on him. And how many bulls, have a 95-point dam, a 95-point second dam, and a 96-point third dam, and a 95-point fourth dam? That is quite a sire stack. Pretty hard to find. So just, again, sorry for the rant, but just ideas popping into my head as we go.
That's amazing. I love your knowledge and your enthusiasm. We've had this question a few times, so people are desperate to know what your favorite flush cow is.
My favorite flush cow, of my own, that is, huh?
Yeah, you can talk about your own or others, whichever you want.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, lottery did a lot of good for us in terms of revenue. I mean, she was not necessarily the most expensive heifer, but selling 30 embryos from Reza after her, fantastic flush history helped a lot. They're maybe not the biggest dollar embryos, but she did a lot of good for us in terms of revenue. So she's one of my favorites, I'd say. Definitely Snap coming up here. We're going to flush her pretty hard. The sister to Shakira. She's probably my favorite cow. Never owned a max score cow in my life, so it's pretty dang cool for her to turn out the way she has. And again, the interest is incredible on her. I mean, a lot of interest from New Zealand and England and different countries all over the place. So I think France as well. So we'll see. Hopefully she makes embryos. We'll see how that goes. I mean, family I'd like to get into that Brienne kind of got ahead of me on was the Lindsay family. So she's got one foot up on me. So
Tony,
I'll sell you one.
Tony, do you have contacts in those other countries that you sell through, or do you deal directly with the farmers?
It really depends, I guess, on the animal. I mean, if it's a high numbers animal, it's usually through a contact, I guess, in Canada, because they sell to the studs. I think the studs probably are too busy to be bothering with these, random guys like myself on Facebook. So they get a trusted contact for them to kind of sniff out what the good ones are. So usually, if an animal's good, I will hear from these contacts. And otherwise, if I'm marketing heifers myself, it's almost always just direct through Facebook. Facebook's been fantastic for me. I've never once paid for an ad in my life. I imagine that's going to change in the future as the business grows, because I think, I might outgrow my Facebook audience, but we'll see what happens. It's been really good so far, no complaints. So everything basically I've tried to sell has been sold so far. So it's been an interesting ride. And like Brianne mentioned before, my parents were not into this at all. It's something that, kind of grew and started on its own, the passion for the genetics, and hours and hours of research. Do your research, make sure that what you're buying is really, really something different and not something that everybody else already has. So just,
I've got two more questions here for you. The first one is, would you say flushing for personal use is an economical way to better a herd?
I definitely think it's a great way to better a herd. Economical, I think it really depends. How is your herd? Like, what's it look like right now? If you really have a poor herd, I think it's a great idea to flush, your best cow, or buy some embryos from somebody else. It's a great way to improve the herd. I try to pick 1 or 2 cows in our general population, just strictly for herd improvement. I don't try to sell these. I try to flush to sex semen, and we usually put those in to improve the herd and grow the families we like. As I guess mentioned in the little ad, or write up to start, we didn't have any very good cows probably 7 or 8 years ago, I bet, and now I think that the number has changed quite a bit. That's also due to the fact we didn't really classify that heavily, so it's maybe not that we had awful cows, it's just cows never got rescored. So last round we had, I think, 7 or 8 very good 2-year-olds, and pretty proud of where it's gone, I guess. And sex semen helps a lot. I try to use sex semen on heifers that are daughters of these very good and excellent cows to kind of keep it going. Conventional semen is always, as you guys know, 50-50, and usually the good ones give you bulls. So if you can help your luck with sex semen, you can still get bulls, but obviously your chances are a lot slimmer of that. So I would say, if you want to flush a cow that you really like, and she's filling lots of quota, and she's got lots of longevity, and her mother was a good cow, her grandmother was a good cow, and it's kind of a family that's the best thing going. They get pregnant easily, and try to pick for things that really make your life easier as a dairy farmer. If it's a cow that you've bred 10 times and you can't get her in calf, and you're like, oh, we should flush her, maybe you should think over that. I know a lot of guys back in the day that used to do that, but it's probably a great way to get really poor fertility into your herd, which doesn't really make your life easy. So
Great answer.
I guess that would be my advice. Go for it. So
the last question I have here for you, Tony, we have a lot of people on the line sort of interested in becoming vets in the future. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with the folks who support the work you do, particularly your vet or your flesh technicians? Or
yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a great relationship with our flesh guy and our vets as well. I mean, it's awesome. I own, it's kind of interesting, my flesh vet, Alex McIntosh. I own both Luster Muffin and DJ Empire. I own both with Chad McIntosh, his son. So I mean, it makes it kind of easy. Very close by, locally as well, and it's fun in that sense, and lots of history there with Alex. Kind of inventing the quick thaw method of embryos, and we have a great relationship with them for sure. So
excellent. Tony, any parting words for us before we turn it back over to Rachel?
I guess, if you're excited about an animal, don't be afraid. Partner up with one of your friends, or, ask mom and dad, go for it. Try your hand at marketing. It doesn't have to be that $10,000 heifer to get you started by any means. If you can get the money together though, with a couple people, and you think this heifer has it, go for it. Go market her. Get a professional picture of her. Take a beautiful lawn shot. Get the picture of her mother or grandmother. Get all the numbers together, and I mean, even send me a message if you have a question about an animal, and you think, hey, is this a marketable animal? I'll be glad to answer you. So I say the best of luck to everybody, and look forward to what everybody has in store for the future. So.
Excellent. We're going to sneak one last question in here. Somebody's wondering if you make ads for others or just for your own personal use.
I get asked this quite a bit. So people do ask me to make ads for them. Haven't really got into that just because, you know, I do farm full time at home. I really like doing them, but I think when it's something for my own use, I think I put way more, like, the passion really shows in the ad versus, like, you know, getting paid $100 or $200 to do it. I probably wouldn't have the same, I guess, effort for some reason, not you know, for any bad reason. It's just when it's my own and something I really, really love, I just get more creative with it. So for now, I have not done that. I probably also spend too much time making them for it to ever be worthwhile for me to do. It's something I'm very picky about. I'll have an ad ready and I'll be like, I don't quite love it. And I'll go back to the drawing board and I might scrap the complete background and restart. So it's something that it takes time. And yeah, for now, I probably am just too busy to really get going on that. So, but it's really cool. I'm really happy and kind of proud of, I guess, where the ads have gone over the last few years. So.
Awesome. Probably a smart decision.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I apologize. I'm going to turn it back over to Riley, not Rachel, as I said earlier.
Okay.
I would like to thank Tony for his time and knowledge. We greatly appreciate you speaking to our club tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Tony, for joining us. And you're welcome to sign off now if you've got other things to do. It sounds like you're a busy guy. So we'll let you go. We just have a few things to finish up with the rest of our 4-H members.
All righty. Thanks, guys.